because it's always
I am taking
of
lots
the,
of
yeah, of
pictures
the
of it.
My
sunset.
husband is probably there now taking photos.
Yeah,
That's
cool. So it's,
pretty.
yeah, it's back there. And then I also run, we started a kids camp, fishing camp about 8 years ago. Okay, this is the call to order. This is the Fairhaven Environmental Commission meeting dated May 11th, 2022. We'll go through sunshine law notice. This is the regular meeting of the Environmental Commission of the Borough of Fairhaven. In accordance with the provisions of the Open Public Meetings Act, public meetings may be held in person or by means of communication equipment to include streaming services and other online meeting platforms. This meeting is being held in person and through the Zoom meeting platform being broadcast from Borough Hall, 748 River Road, Fairhaven, New Jersey. Public participation for this May 11, 2022 meeting is available by call-in, phone number, or through web conference. Members of the public will be on mute until it is time for questions, comments, which will be announced. At that time, the public has the opportunity to use the raise hand button and will be called on at the appropriate time. Notice of this meeting was sent to the Asbury Park Press, the Two River Times, and the Star Ledger on January 28, 2022, posted on the Borough website, the bulletin board in the municipal building, and has remained continuously posted as required under the statute. With adequate notice having been given, the Environmental Commission Secretary is directed to include this statement in the minutes of this meeting. Do the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Roll call. Michael.
Here.
Kelly Flanagan.
She's here.
Here, I'm here.
Hi.
Hello.
Hi, guys. Can you hear me? Thank you.
Again.
All right, good.
Thank you. Suzanne McCabe. Jesse Murray.
Here.
Brian Olson. Gary Patterson. Here. Jonathan Peters. Myself is here. Ralph Windrum. Councilwoman Cole.
Here.
Has everybody reviewed the April meeting minutes?
Yes.
And we have any additions or corrections? I'd like to approve those meeting minutes. Have a motion?
Yep, we're good.
Second? Aye. Yep. So I will move on to item number 6, current business. Navigant River is, this is the time of year that I'll get a bunch of phone calls, emails, texts. I got one today from Riverview Hospital that there's scum lines, there's discoloration, and it is totally normal, especially given the amount of rain that we've received over the past 11 days, right, since May started, and prior to that, April. So you get a lot of runoff. We can debate the whole thing with nutrient loads from fertilizers and stuff like that, but I'd rather not tonight. But if there are questions, I'm more than happy to answer them. If there's public in attendance that would like to ask those questions, because there are, answers to them that are.
Don't you just see the
That are here.
bunker by now?
Hmm?
Don't you just see the bunker? by now?
So I miss my bunker. So you also see this time of year that because the water warms rather quickly. The Moss Bunker in Menhaden, which is their scientific name, not scientific, but the Latin name, I don't even know what that is, but they didn't show up in masses that we've seen in the past. Not that they're not around, and I think because they're very susceptible to salinity levels. I think with the excessive runoff of rain and the increase in fresh water might have kept them out of the river. There are pods of bunker in the river. The fish from the striped bass perspective, I've never seen it in the 50 years plus that I've been around the river or on the river like this. And I've said it at the last meeting. So there's plenty of food in the river. It's just we don't have those mass schools, which is actually good because then although the bunker is the most important fish in the sea, it's one of the dumbest. So what happens is they get pushed up into shallow water and they basically suffocate on the, they lose oxygen. The oxygen becomes depleted in those shallow waters and they perish and then end up on the beaches and we get more phone calls and text and emails. So it's probably somewhat good that we don't have a lot of them in the rivers, but the increased population, the bunker increase, population increase has been significant. So there's a lot of bunker in the bay and the ocean where, they're oceanic species. They come up into the rivers. So it's a good question. We've had weak fish now showing up in the rivers, which are very cyclical, is a good sign also that the river is getting cleaner. I don't have any other updated data on the fecal coliform, which is what we monitor along with the state. But it has been decreasing in general over the past almost 2 years, 3 years, 2 years since we started the project of monitoring the river and having the area back open, excuse me, which is a 585 square acreage of river. So that's about it. Oops. Please mute your cell phones. I'll make sure my watch is muted. So we'll go to 6B, ERI with Jesse.
Yes, I took a look at the ERI. And there are actually sections in here that I think we can definitely update. Which ones? Especially with like related to section 6, existing and planned infrastructure, related to stormwater management or utilities and recycling, just because I know there's been a lot going on in the past several years. Obviously our rain gardens aren't included, and those should be included in here. I know we've been doing all the utility work along the road. There's been updates of recycling, so that section I think for sure can be updated. What else was there? Recreational areas, including some of the more like the pocket parks. I don't think that was all included when I first brought this up. So that there are definitely sections that can be updated. It's not obviously it's not the whole entire thing. A lot of this stuff's not going to change, like geology things, like it's not going to change. But yeah, there's definitely a few items in here that I'll make note of and send to everybody. So if I don't know if anyone got to review as well and had any other comments, because otherwise I can just kind of send an email to the group with the sections I believe should be updated. Maybe we can either, divide and conquer, if anyone wants to maybe update for, specific sections or whatnot, but those are things that really kind of jumped out at me that can be updated. And I think honestly it would be a good idea to update as well. So it's.
So thank you. What I'd like to do for the next meeting is after we've been able to review it, is kind of if everybody could take a small section, whether it's rain gardens or, whatever that you're kind of interested in, and take that and then work with Jesse.
Yeah.
Right, to give ideas and feedback.
There's not a lot.
To update it, no.
Yeah, honestly, literally be like a couple sentence like updates for a lot of this stuff. Just maybe a paragraph, but it's not like it's like writing on a page worth of things here. So, but yeah, no, just some minor stuff I think can be updated. And yeah, also too, if you kind of notice anything as you're kind of going through that I might have missed after I sent things out, feel free to add that too. And then, divide and conquer and take it from there.
Cool.
May I speak to this for a moment?
Yeah.
I thought this was really helpful, just to have the document. And it's a good read. It gives you a nice overview of a lot of Fairhaven. There were a couple of things that I noted. We have a section on vegetation, and I wondered if you thought it might be helpful to expand a little bit on invasives.
I was thinking the same thing. I know we have that whole document, I forget her last name, Sarah
Burns, or no,
Schumann. Yes.
Oh,
I know
She's
she,
ready.
was it
Oh,
her?
the college student?
Oh, no, that was
No,
Fire
no.
Bear.
It was, she
That was
gave
Sarah
a,
Bear.
she gave a presentation to the fields
Natural
and natural areas about invasive species, and she actually wrote like a whole entire document up about it. So either incorporating some of that or maybe attaching that information. I was thinking that same thing, like that would be really great to include in here as well.
Great. And does her document, which I haven't seen, I should,
I'll forward that around.
okay, does it identify areas of, I don't know if there's a rating system we have for areas that are of concern, areas of elevated concern, areas of emergent concern?
I know the natural areas were working on mapping just within there themselves, what's kind of what they're highlighting as like the areas of concern, but I don't think we've done it as like a town-wide thing.
I'd be interested to know if the commission felt that there are areas outside the Natural Area Advisory Committee's, area that rose to the level of concern. And if there were, could we identify that? Just to be monitoring, areas of concern can quickly become an emergent concern.
Yeah.
At the moment, Fairhaven isn't really poised to intervene, but just as a member of the governing body, I happen to think that's one of those things. We should have a mechanism in place that allows the poison to intervene. And not knowing where the areas of concern are, we would look to you. So
Yeah, I've already noticed some dairy just walking around.
Mhm.
Really?
Like Japanese knotweed, obviously the ivies everywhere. Big haul for sure, I would
Yes.
say,
And that's not under the natural field, so they're not.
yeah.
No, that's
So what-
under.
some of the stuff I've seen is on like just private properties too.
So
Sorry.
there is there's an ordinance that was on for Monday night to introduce an ordinance to prohibit certain invasive species.
Mhm.
Top of concern would be Japanese knotweed, bamboo.
Yeah, oh, bamboo.
Yeah, which we
bamboo
have
is
some
good.
of.
Yeah.
A lot of,
Yeah. So
that's very difficult.
we're going to tweak some language around natives, so it isn't so broad that the
Yeah.
enforcement officer doesn't know what to do, but that's gonna get perfected. And then maybe the thing to do would provide you with a list of those things which are prohibited. And then we could look to you to identify areas of concern throughout the borough where that might exist.
Do we have a copy of the proposed ordinance?
It is available to the public. I can also send it to you. so
Yeah,
you
Yeah,
can-
if you just send it, then we'll have what you,
Yeah.
and
I
have
can
it,
send it out. It was
Oh,
on the-
good.
have it aligned with the
Yeah.
ordinance, right?
Correct, yeah, and just note that there's a section, I believe it's section 14. I have to look at it again. There's one section that is broadly refers to natives. It's just a little bit too broad.
Right.
So that would be the only thing that's gonna get worked on,
So that will be on the May 23rd
I
agenda.
expect, yeah. It'll probably depend a little bit on Greg Cannon and maybe me, if I get a call.
Did Kelly have comments? I think she was trying to chime in before.
The other, oh.
I was just gonna say, it wasn't Sarah Chiavetti, it was a different Sarah, but I think we can get that through Bonnie or somebody that went to that talk.
I
as well.
have it in email, so
Oh,
I can resend
Okay,
it out. Yeah.
And the only other thing that jumped out at me, other than how fantastic this is to have, was there was a small reference to compost out by the community gardens. And does anybody have the history on that? I don't believe there's a compost there now, right? Was it unsuccessful?
At times, there was not compost, but there was mulch.
Mhm.
And they would have, when we had a lot of damage from storms, they would grind it up, the town would,
Mhm.
and then dump it there. And it was basically a community mulch pile that we could just grab our own mulch. I don't know of
If
a
people
compost.
like that, it sounds nice,
I went up there.
yeah.
And now with my kids, they'd be up there getting it. So I think it was successful. I don't know how many tons was produced and then how many tons was utilized by the borough, by the residents. I don't know if that data is available.
And do you know anything about that compost?
I don't know anything about a compost pile. because I would say you really don't want a pile per se, you'd want to have it in some kind of a
Oh, yes.
container.
Well,
Um,
in my mind, when I read it, I thought, well, maybe there's compost there by the community gardens, and all it would need is some leaves and aeration. And I didn't know if somebody was was assigned to that, whether it was a green team or a scouts troop or.
I had never heard of it. But I guess,
It seems like it might be a nice idea.
yeah, if we had a couple of barrels and you just dump the stuff in the barrel and
Right
once in a
from the
while.
garden, it's sort of.
Yeah, and
That'd
then
be
just-
a good initiative, something to work on.
Yeah. Yeah.
I love that, I would definitely push that.
Yeah, and I think the best way to do it is in the barrels that you can spin, because then if you go by there, oh, I gotta go spin the barrel. right?
Perhaps it's perhaps a grant opportunity.
There you
Yeah,
go.
maybe
Getting some
through the green team.
compost, yeah.
Mhm.
Maybe
Composting
put that as a
barrels.
do.
Because if you had, 4 barrels, maybe 2 at each end.
So I'll make a note and
Yeah.
and we'll see what.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I can get the barrels for nothing.
Okay,
That'd honestly be really awesome, because
I think
I know folks are talking about doing like some sort of compost pickup type thing too, but if you could bring it somewhere locally, I mean, that's even better,
Mhm.
you know?
Yeah.
Mhm.
So,
Yeah.
Would we think that people can come pick it up and use it, or is it just we're putting it out?
I would say it would be utilized by
I
the
think-
gardens.
I think you would compost from the garden directly to the compost pile, and then somebody would have to tend it. And then it would be available for residents to come and take it like the mulch. I don't know if people,
I
the
don't know how
drop
much
off
you're gonna-
part that Jesse, you're thinking about, which I like too, gets tricky because of the rules, what goes
Yeah,
in.
yeah.
And I would love that basically to be able to do it, but I don't know if somebody puts their leftover steak in there, for example, it ruins the
Yeah.
whole thing. So,
yeah, I
Yeah,
mean, something to talk with the garden club about though too,
that's a great idea.
pair with them.
who is I guess you just go to the borough to get a plot, right? There's no
Yeah.
entity that
I
oversees
believe they're
that.
sold out right now.
No, I know that. I was just wondering if there was an entity or something that kind of oversaw that other than the borough.
The community garden,
Yeah,
I don't think.
There
so.
is,
Yeah.
Damien runs from the community garden. I don't know Damien's last name, but like a couple people on the green team, like Jenny Foster, your neighbor Brian, has a plot there. And so she works with Damien, but we've used them for they've been very receptive to trying to push even just natural more, practices, and also any donations to lunch
Right.
break and other stuff. But yeah, there is a whole group that
I'll
runs
get
it.
together, I'll text Jenny, and follow up with her and then get a hold of Damien. Because I would say that it would have to be kind of overseen by someone or it's not the garden club, it's not us. It could be, but it's probably Damien, see how receptive he is to that idea. And see, if the community gardeners, lack of a better term for them, would like to utilize it. I would say, they would be responsible for it to the degree that we could all go as a town. I don't know if you're gonna produce that much compost. It takes, a couple, 3 years to really get it going. But I would say it's a great idea for the gardens and a great thing for the Boy Scouts, Girl Scouts, or whatever to go look at, and as a demonstration, a live demonstration.
Yeah.
I know you guys were doing a few demonstrations, and here you go, here's a great way to do it, kind of similar to the rain gardens.
Yeah.
Cool.
All right, I'll follow up with Jenny. She called me twice the other day thinking I was her Brian. It was funny. So, we have anything else on the ERI?
Not on that time.
Okey-dokey. Residential stormwater ordinance. Again, we haven't really, I don't know why it's still on the agenda, because we all decided that it was best that we just kind of table it until we get the ordinance that was passed down by the state that we had to adopt to do that. But I do have something to add to it later on under new business
And I'm
that relates
still,
to it.
I'm also reviewing, just like the white paper, and still pulling together just like a, small kind of cut sheet type thing.
Yeah, we wanted to have some sort of
Yeah.
draft
Yeah, so
to
I'm
present to the
still,
borough.
Yes, I'm still and for the planning and zoning board,
Right.
so I started doing that, so.
Yeah,
I'm still working on that.
And I think for the beginning of it, as I say in every meeting, it would just be best practice
Yeah.
and suggestions.
Yeah.
And then before
Yeah.
passing
Yep.
another ordinance.
Yeah, no, so that's, I'm working on that. Wonderful.
Okay.
So do
Thank
you
you.
want me to remove this from the agenda until you tell me otherwise?
No, I
No.
think keep it on because I mean.
It'll remind us to-
Yeah, because I'm pulling together like the best practices anyway. That's still something that's relevant to this. So,
Okay.
yeah.
I forgot about that. My bad.
Oh,
Green Team, Sustainable Jersey, Kelly.
Okay, this is a busy month for Sustainable Jersey and Green Team. I'm like, yes, so we're chugging along, all good stuff. I just want to report a little bit. Last Monday, we had our compost workshop at Bicentennial Hall, and we were overwhelmed by the response and the attendance that we had. Our speakers were fantastic. So, I think it brought a lot, hopefully sparked this great conversation that we just were having about composting, right? And just how much of a need it is, practical issues, it lowers landfill space, but also for the environment and the benefit that it can bring rather than, throwing it away. So they actually did talk about the free mulch that used to be provided and some other options too. But there's we will be having some more information from Unwaste, which is at residential and commercial pickup composting service. They're at the Love Where You Live Day this Saturday as well. Just want to let you guys know too, she is also trying to do a pilot with some different towns. And I'm not sure if we're there yet, but if there is a lot of interest from Fairhaven residents to compost their food waste, then perhaps we could work with the town to find a communal spot where people could just go and bring their food waste there and they would haul it from a centralized location. That is TBD, but I think that there could be, if more people are generating, interest, perhaps we could start weighing, food that is not being hauled away and see how somehow this could lower our trucking or hauling bill eventually, right? If it makes sense to offer something like that. But it was a great turnout. So that was fantastic. And we know people that have already gone out to the county and gotten their earth machines. And then following up, our big event this Saturday is Love Where You Live Day at Bicentennial Hall. We're fingers crossed that the rain is going to hold up and sun's going to come out like it did this afternoon. So, but we are really excited. I'll let Michael talk a little bit more on that. So I'll pass it off to you in a minute. But first, and then still plugging along with Sustainable Jersey application. I'm hoping right after this Saturday, that's what's going to be like my main focus for the next week or so, because it's due the 22nd of May. So I know many of you guys have been graciously offered to help with some of these actions. I might be reaching out to others if I'm at the 11th hour here. But we're just trying to get everything in before the deadline. This is obviously the first round draft, but we want to get as tight of an application as we can to submit by the 22nd. So that's my update, and I'll pass it on to Michael if you want to, talk about where we are with Love Where You Live Day.
Sure.
Great, thanks, Kelly.
An update on the compost. So they're going to hopefully pick up an article in Living In and in the Journal on the compost. So that's exciting on the compost workshop. So we'll get a little bit of press out of that. And with Love Where You Live Day, we've been promoting it all over. A lot of our vendors have been promoting it for us. We're excited, and the partners that we have are definitely within the community. A lot of the commissions and the committees. We have a couple of different businesses throughout town, from Boosker Do and Nicholas are donating food to give out at the event. And yeah, we're excited, rain or shine. I mean, we decided to push it on Saturday and hope for the best.
That's what I was gonna ask. It is rain or shine.
It is rain or shine,
Yeah.
because so many people did so much to plan for it. We don't want the vendors who did so much to not be able to come. So we weighed our options, and it says not a ton of rain,
It's saying more in like, as of right now.
Looks
in the
like Friday
evening-
night.
I know.
In the
Yeah,
evening.
Friday night and then a break.
So
Yeah.
let's, fingers crossed, but we have some options. We're gonna try to get everyone to bring tents if they can. So if anyone has any tents to donate, that would be awesome. You can drop them off at By Hall on Thursday night or Friday, we'll be there.
Okay.
Or at my house. So yeah, if you have tents, awesome. I'm really excited. We have so many cool activities for the kids, from art to designing bags with reused t-shirts. We're gonna do a bottle cap mural, which we just collected all the bottle caps, and I had them on my porch, and so many people dropped them off. So I was really excited that the community actually like, are
That's
part of
kinda
this.
neat. Yeah,
I had to
that's
wash some of them because they were definitely from beach cleanup, so that was the purpose.
neat. I didn't see any today on the beach, so they did a good job.
Yeah, that's good.
I did not.
I don't know if I'll be able to see a bottle cap now. I just keep hooking them up anyway, so. But yeah, I'm really excited. I think we had an amazing team. Honestly, this was such a team effort, and we got a lot done in a short amount of time. So thank you to everyone who's supported us, Tracy,
Oh,
obviously,
100%.
our co,
Great
Robin
job.
O'Neill and
Robin's
Stephanie have been
here too.
amazing. So, yeah, so thanks everyone. We're excited. I'm
Great.
excited for the environmental commission table.
I'm gonna try to be there. If it's nasty enough that we don't fish, I will be there in my fishing gear anyway to stay
That's
dry.
kind of perfect. So
Yeah.
the visual will be
I
great.
will be there, yeah.
So far on the sign up, we have Gary coming from 9 to 9:45, and then Jesse had signed up for the rest of the day.
I did,
But anyone, that's it.
Well, no, Ralph is coming.
Ralph
He
will
just
be
is
there.
not here. So Ralph's
Ralph
there
will
all
be there.
day.
I'm
Tracy,
gonna be there
will
for
you-
the day.
Did I actually get to pick him up?
I'll pick them
Okay,
up.
thank
Or-
you.
Or we'll bike together.
Okay.
Maybe we'll bike.
So so Ralph said he'll be there all day, and Kelly's gonna be at the.
I'll be there at that table too.
Yeah,
Right.
So I think
Okay.
we're
All
okay.
right.
Yeah, I'm not too worried.
I'll be there if I can.
Okay.
Great.
So,
And I know you can only be there for half an hour.
Yeah,
because this is,
You'll
oh, I'm
have
sorry.
something ready?
Yeah, there's stuff, because she,
Oh, yeah.
you dropped it off
Yeah.
already, I think, or.
I'll drop it tomorrow, I guess, because that's when you have. the
Yeah, I
file.
officially have it. Yeah, that's
Do you
fine.
want
Hello,
all
it's
that
from
stuff? I
Yeah.
didn't, I left it too, so I didn't see anything, but
Yeah,
we
that.
have those
Cedar.
and the
cards already printed up for dog waste.
Yes, we do. We
And then
definitely want all of it.
Yeah.
What else did I forward you? Oh, do you want we had spoke about the borough brush and.
The brush,
water.
yeah.
Do you
I
want
really want
all of
that.
I think they both go hand in hand.
Good.
So
honestly.
you want
Yeah.
all those for the table?
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. I'll
And
print
the
those up.
Littoral Society, right? You have like the information about the dog poo
For
from the
some
Littoral.
reason, Betty Ann like pulled out a box of already, they're from the
Sure.
Ocean Action.
No, there was a bunch of them that I had gotten a while ago from New Jersey Sea Grant. They were the poo. They were-
Okay, as long as we have, yeah, okay, great.
And I guess, random, but do you guys have a tablecloth? Should I put, does anyone have a tablecloth? I can bring a tablecloth. It's just a small detail, but. we
I could
probably
bring a
do want
tablecloth,
something.
sure.
Okay. Perfect. And Ralph's gonna bring lobster traps.
Crab trap.
Crab traps, sorry.
I can too.
Okay, that'd be cute just to have around.
I've got a
Uh-huh.
lot of them.
Perfect.
Yeah, I have a little bit of fishing stuff laying around.
Awesome.
Yeah, a little bit. I just had 150 fishing rods delivered to my office. And they were doing the road construction right in front of my driveway, so it was literally a tractor trailer pulled up. And so we had them parked and the ribbon and the peach, and then we put them across on a dolly.
So
Wow.
related to Sustainable Jersey, Green Team, Love Where You Live Day, and one of my other hats as the chair of outreach and communications, I'll be there with a table for outreach. And the reason I'm mentioning it, Kelly, is because I'm thinking it could be points.
Yes,
And I have that section, but honestly, I didn't drill down on it yet. Like I have that section, the Sustainable Jersey thing. I guess what I'm asking for is maybe on Saturday, you could tell me what I need to do to help make that piece of the Sustainable Jersey count for your
For points
goal.
towards the.
sure, for that action, okay,
Yeah.
Perfect.
Over.
yeah, I could do
We're
that.
hoping to milk a bunch more out of this. I mean, we have even like arts, we have so many different areas covered.
Yeah.
It's just, there's some background, like for the arts, you have to set up an art commission first. So there's like, there are steps that some of the, you have to take before you can kind of get points. So we're gonna try to milk as much as we can out of this, because we are covering so many bases.
Yeah. Cool.
Forward to Saturday.
Thank you. Recorder Pond. Don't really have much to report. I guess we're all to show our support at the next council meeting, which is 5 o'clock
Correct.
at Bicentennial Hall, Monday, the 23rd.
Yes.
Yes,
Is it at Bicentennial Hall?
Actually, I don't.
that's what I thought it was, but maybe it's not. There
I'm
was a
not
couple
sure
of
it is.
Yeah,
But
I'm not sure it is.
if you mark your calendar for the 23rd at 5,
23rd at 5 at Borough Hall.
I can confirm
we'll have to
that.
confirm the location.
But we'll confirm.
Yeah.
Is it at 5?
It sounded like
It's
they
a
weren't
special meeting.
100%.
It's a special meeting at 5
Until
o'clock.
we figured out the acoustics and because the acoustics were a little bit off
Yeah.
with Zoom.
Oh,
So I
okay,
think
because the
they-
echoes in there.
Even
Yeah,
in
so I think they were
person.
gonna try to work that. But on that point, I guess you guys know that it was brought up that they were going to approve the.
Yeah, I was going to, if you want to cover it now, that's fine.
Yes.
Um,
Please.
Okay, as you requested at the last meeting, well, it might have been your meeting. I think it was the April meeting. Then at the first, I'm a little lost on the meetings, but I know the Environmental Commission tasked me to specifically go to the council at our next meeting and make sure that it was understood. We at the Environmental Commission did not want the chemical treatment to advance. I'm not sure how that got missed, but it did. And then the contract for the chemical treatment was in the packets, and the minutes indicated that the Environmental Commission, in fact, wanted to proceed. So I think it would, maybe it's just something got lost. So anyway, we amended the minutes. I advised the governing body that the Environmental Commission had a very adamant position on this, and that we wanted them to suspend that chemical treatment. And that we could talk about it down the road, but at this time, please do not proceed. So that was clarified, but I think it might be helpful to have a copy of the minutes with that section from the Environmental Commission, a copy of the minutes and a short cover letter to just say as, you know, to
You're
communicate.
talking about the council minutes it reflected?
No,
I took
our
care of that
EC
part.
meeting, our EC minutes.
Yeah, I think your Environmental Commission minutes will say
It was
that,
discussed April and March, I believe.
yeah, that you did not want to do
Yeah.
the chemical
You
treatment.
definitely said did not.
Yes.
Okay.
That was
So-
clear to me, so
Yeah.
So has a contract been,
it has not been, there's no action was taken on that
Okay.
because I.
right,
They were going to
You-
about to.
it's in neutral.
Thank
It's not
you.
in park, it's not in drive, it's in
All right.
neutral. So we gotta get on it, is what you're saying.
So what
Thank you.
happened, just to clarify, so if they don't do the chemical treatment, we wanted the raking, the hydro raking. But they were saying like our window is closing, obviously, so.
Well, I think that, what some of the concerns that were expressed by Teresa, was that the residents call her and kind of complain and, you know, suggest that the pond's a mess. And Teresa's only available tool up until now has been to call the vendor who provides the chemical treatment and the blue dye and come and basically chalk the pond 8-10 times at about a cost of maybe $800 a shot. So that's kind of been, from what I could tell, the McCarter Pond management strategy.
And it never worked.
And correct, so there's no permanent change to the pond, and the pond continues to worsen, and you have all made that very clear. So if we could take care of the housekeeping piece,
I mean, the minutes that were approved at the start of this meeting say, the commission agreed no further chemicals should be put in the pond in anticipation of it being moved to the natural area post-hydro raking if voted upon.
thank you.
Thank you.
If you could send a copy of that with maybe just a short as requested, please see and just send it to the governing body and copy Teresa.
Mhm.
Yeah. How do we get the hydro raking to happen?
Okay.
I guess that's my
Well,
question.
these
So
will
that's
not
what
be
I'll talk about.
published until after tonight when they've been approved.
Yeah, that's why you have a liaison,
It's approved now,
so
yeah.
that I could go and communicate in the interim.
Okay.
And the documentation is just a matter of punctuating the message.
Gotcha.
So the question came up from Michael, how do we get the hydro raking done? So it's basically has to be approved in council to approve the bids. I'm hoping that Teresa went out to bid. I don't know where that stands. And then it will possibly be that definitely is part of the bond ordinance that they're going to discuss at the next council meeting, which is why it's important that somebody or a few somebodies show up at that meeting to support it's kind of like, reach out to everybody and we all get a little piece of the pie, part of the bonds. The monies that are raised through that bond.
And I'll
And
just
then-
offer for your information, there may even be funding outside of bonding for a quarter pot.
Right.
So,
Yeah, and then the second part of that, which is, and I'll have to be updated again, but they weren't that expensive to put in 2 fountains. Because once you do it, you have to have some apparatus in there to continue
Yeah.
to aerate. So that if you go by Pomfrey's Pond in Rumson, they have, and then so I contacted them and got all the specs and everything from a company actually we deal with through one of our businesses for the pumps. And you can get them with LED lights and change colors. We don't want that here, but it would just be, it's basically an aeration fountain. Okay, so because just a fountain just spits water. This actually is an aeration unit. And when I got the original quotes, they were $4,600 a piece. And we could probably find 2 people in town that would probably donate, in their name or whatever, put a bench there. Thank you for the donation of the fountain, and there's wire in there. It would just have to be converted to 220 from 110 because of the bubblers that are there. So basically it wouldn't be a heavy lift to install those, and hence I haven't really pushed that with the hydro raking because I think it's easy to do after there's no sense doing that until the raking is done.
Great.
All right.
I wonder regarding the upcoming meeting on the 23rd. It would be nice to have a letter from the Environmental Commission with a position on Carter Pond, your advocacy for the hydro rigging, and a short statement in writing that could go to the whole governing body, copy Teresa, probably Allison, myself, or I'll be on there. And I only suggest that because I will say that from my experience now, a few months, that when the whole governing body gets a letter, it is significant.
Carries more weight.
Well, it helps, the conversation is in the air and I'm advocating on your behalf that having the letter gets to everyone. And I don't have the ability to email the whole governing body.
No.
Right, because of the sunshine law.
Sunshine.
So only 3 people, or members of the council can be in conversation digitally or in real time, or real in person at a time, which means, but you have the ability to communicate to the whole governing body.
Well, yes, we can't communicate amongst ourselves at a forum either.
Correct, right.
So Christy, can we work on that together?
Sure.
Thank you. I think you have enough in the minutes that we can probably pull an outline of it. It doesn't have to be,
It doesn't have to be
Crazy.
long at all.
well, as you know, I'm very short and sweet
Okay.
in my emails and transmissions. So that's McCarter. So rain gardens. I'm gonna just touch on this and because it's your subject, but so, but I guess, Nativity Church. So the pictures that I submitted, I've been monitoring it. I went there today on my way to the beach to look for bottle caps. No, I was taking Jack surfing, but and it's drained. So what's happening is there is a rain garden there. It's not a rain garden that we would build, but it is a coffer, as you can see in the pictures, that is that when you look at, when they build parking lots, there's always a slope. So it all slopes to that corner, okay? And then goes down the spillway and into a pipe, which goes into the storm sewer, which goes into the river. I don't think there's anything we could do to modify it. I've thought about ideas, go rent a concrete, saw and drill holes into it, to allow the water to maybe seep into it. What has happened, the reason that it builds up and makes a pond, as the pictures show, is that the end pipe is totally clogged up to the point where I tried to find the data, but let's say we had an inch of rain over the last 4 or 5 days, right? So it's pretty full. It's empty today. And there was no sign of being, wet. So it dried out pretty over, let's say, a couple, 3 days. So I volunteered my son and one of his friends, whoever he chooses, to go over there and clean it out, the pipe, so then the water won't just lay in there. But my thought is, there's no reason we couldn't plant plants around it
I was gonna say.
and make it look more appealing, because you can see it's very similar to a high tide line. You'll see in the pictures that there's no vegetation up to where it kind of flattens out on each side. All right, so you basically have a rain garden. It just wouldn't be a rain garden, wouldn't have concrete at the bottom of it. Ralph pointed out it might be within the confines of Monmouth County. I don't think it is. I think it definitely was built as part of the parking lot structure. They were probably had to do it per getting approvals. The other idea is to kind of leave the leaves there, believe it or not, and let the leaves and whatever organic, as long as it's organic material, it's filtering. It slows the water down from going right into the storm sewer. Okay, so there's kind of a double-edged sword there. Do we leave the leaves? Leave the leaves? Or clean it out and just let it rust right into? So I'm more inclined, because it does drain fairly quickly over a couple, 3 days, to just leave it alone and let it do what it's doing, because there is a little bit of chicken wire there that catches the leaves, and that acts as a natural filter.
Is there any downside?
No, I don't see a downside. Maybe our professional.
I mean, it doesn't back up, onto the parking lot.
Yeah.
No, and it hasn't. It stays in that coffer kind of, and just, I would maybe just leave it alone. I mean, I know we're all excited to build a rain garden there, but you can't really build one there.
I mean, you can plant it though.
But you can plant
That's
it,
the
yes,
thing. I
and make it a
think-
pollinator garden.
I think you can easily plant that and just make sure that whoever's doing maintenance there doesn't know it. But I think that would help it too, because that would help slow things down.
Right, and that would help. So I would put that out there to whoever is going to do that kind of thing. If it's, we can pass it off as a green team project, we could pass it off as, and get volunteers. My son, but for Mass, you need to have volunteer hours. I think the high school does also for certain clubs and such. So, and the junior green team, which I think, well, somebody went over and spoke to the teachers at Knollwood about those rain gardens. Was it you? I don't know who it was. It was Kelly. You knew who it was.
Stephanie,
Right.
It was Stephanie and Robin, yeah.
That's it. So I was gonna go afterwards and I didn't, because I didn't think it was really necessary. I'd rather be the spearhead to build them and then have the people who like to plant, and all that work with the junior green team, which makes sense. So I kind of stepped back from it. But now we need some other place to build a rain garden,
Well, I mean, really.
which there are places.
At least just related to what's been at least, built so far. Kelly, and I, mostly Kelly, pulled together that grant application for the rain gardens, specifically so we can get an educational sign we can put over Knollwood, because it'd be really huge to have something like that over there. But then also too, to help replant it. And I know we were kind of talking, because things are getting so late in the season now, is perhaps like taking our time, working together, and maybe being a September, October project, when it's a really great time to plant. And we don't have to worry about watering and
Right.
the heat of the sun.
That's what happened.
And that's what happened last time. It's always so tough. If you don't get that right time and you get that, the dry weather and hot, it just ruins everything.
Mhm.
So planning in the fall, and then we can still get the students involved. But yeah, we'll see. I forget when we'd find out about the grant, but I mean, getting the sign over there would be really great. And then they can start incorporating that hopefully into, the schools. They can start taking the kids out there and kind of incorporate into their like biology classes and whatnot, so.
Yeah, that was, yeah. I mean,
Really
that was-
awesome that you guys got that grant together, like in the nick of time,
Yeah.
amidst so many other balls in the air. I don't know.
We had some help.
Yeah, a big shout out to Sarah Chiavetti. She did come and
Sarah
talk on that too,
Chiavetti.
yeah.
There she goes. There she is. See, there she is. Yeah. Oh my gosh, she was a huge help helping us
That
pull
was,
that
which grant
together.
was that?
That was just a
The ANJAC, it was a
That's right.
1,500 ANJAC grant. That was
It's related to kind of this.
Open
So that wasn't
space.
the grant that we used to buy the original plants. That was the one that,
No,
Ralph and I
this
worked
this
on
is
about
this is
that.
this complete separate.
right, okay.
complete
Yeah, I was
separate.
trying to figure out,
Yeah.
okay, cool. Yeah, because there is money also available. Somebody reached out and said, she was here, did a presentation, and then she helped she helped us plant the
Is that
gardens.
Amanda from Antar? Because that is.
No, a student at Knollwood, and now she's at RFH, and she had gotten a grant and needs to spend the money.
Oh.
I have to search through my emails and see,
Well, I think we-
but she did reach out,
I
yeah.
mean, between Knollwood and between, I think, Nativity, like already ready to go, and then it's just a matter, yeah.
Just a matter of if,
identifying something else.
You
too.
know, Pinelands has the plants too in September, October.
Yeah, that's just such a good time of year to plant though.
Right.
Because you don't have to worry about watering. That's the biggest
A
thing.
lot of it, yeah, because I wasn't going over there.
And it'd be a nice thing for the kids when they first start school too, to like have something like that, when the weather is usually awesome.
Yeah.
To be outside.
Yeah.
So, I don't know, I think that's kind of like the direction we're heading in.
Sounds like a good idea.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Great. We touched on invasive species bamboo. Is there anything else to add to that?
Not really, keep you posted on the ordinance.
Cool.
Christie will circulate it
we'll
so you
get it,
guys
yeah.
can see it.
Thank you. New biz, number 7. Stormax netting. So this was something that we kind of touched on in the past. And I went in meeting with Nick down at the dock to talk to him about another, and I guess it might be part of this too, but I'll talk about that. Is basically a big, it's not fish, but if you look at commercial fishing, it's a big round tube net with a tie at each end. So basically it would go over the end of a stormwater outfall pipe. So to give you an idea, and I didn't send pictures around, but it's crazy. If you feel like going to check something out, it's easy, it's accessible. That's why I proposed that it would be at Fairhaven Dock, the foot of the road, the foot of Fairhaven Road next to the town dock. So you have visibility. We could put up a little sign what it is. It's easy to get to and maintain it. So basically it would go over the end of the outfall pipe and catch any debris prior to going into the river. 2 drawbacks. One is that the one main drawback is maintenance of it. So we would have to have an agreement with the town to empty it. I don't think it'll fill up that quickly, or I hope it doesn't. But it will fill up, which is what its intended purpose is. So that's what it is. I don't know, did everybody get the email on it? I know I sent it. Did you get it? Yeah, you saw, I know, yeah. So we can circulate that. So yeah, Nick brought it up. And I said, we had talked about it before. And I think it would be a great thing to get. I don't even know if there's more than one company, the Stormex, that provides these nets.
How does it stay attached?
It has a big band that goes around and then it clamps on the end.
Do you remember the sock project, the RFH kids? I think it was RFH.
Yeah.
It's the same concept. And it didn't stay attached.
Yeah, so
This Stormex.
I know it's been, they've been using them. So I don't know, from my standpoint, it might be, and I have to look at it and I'll get some more material on it. But I wanted to first kind of, talk
There's a
about it
pilot
broadly.
project.
So
yeah.
what I'm thinking that it might be as a band that gets really tight with a lip on it. And then do a band behind that, so that would hold the net. That's how I would design it,
Okay.
right?
Have you seen any towns doing this?
No.
Have you executed on?
No, we would be the first ones.
Examples, but. I mean, it's a cool
I mean, you
idea.
can almost,
I personally have.
I can almost make it myself with fishing nets. But this is a company,
Yeah.
I will, if we want to kind of get behind this as a commission, I'll move forward on it and get some,
No, just
get some more,
that.
get some numbers and some more
Yeah, so just
facts on
this
it.
kind
I
of-
would definitely be interested in hearing more.
It's really
Right?
that.
What size? Is that gonna be the holes?
Like, is this at the end of just like camps?
No, we first do it at the end of Fairhaven Road. So yeah, so to give you an idea, stormwater outfalls are at the end of, there's one starting from the east at the Normandy, and then Fairhaven Road and Hanson and Reed. So I would do the first as a pilot project, because of the visibility, we could put a little sign up there telling people what it is. Hopefully the kids aren't bad kids that go down there and slice it. I don't think they will.
No, I don't.
No.
They care about it.
I think the main thing would be
Yeah.
how often it has to get cleaned, because then that would be the maintenance cost.
Yeah, so the maintenance would be, so it would be a joint between DPW and us. So it looks like it has, yeah, the bands crank onto the, really attached. And then once it's attached, you don't take it off. I don't believe, I guess there's two ways, just thinking out loud, to empty it is either, I guess they would have to lift it up and dump it somehow. So I will get more, if we're behind the project, I'll get more information on it. If it's something that we want to get behind.
I'm interested in knowing
Yeah,
what
me
it
too.
costs. I was in Oregon and I almost emailed this to you guys. I thought you had too much going on and I'd saved my email when there might be some bandwidth for a new thought. But I'm not sure what I think about these either, so I was gonna share it. You guys could decide. But in Oregon, which is on the side of the hill, obviously it's very pristine on the Columbia River. They're very careful. So they have some sort of leading edge simple technologies. And in this case, and I pay attention because from time to time I learn something from the crazy way they solve problems. And this is a stormwater management thing. They had these bags, like a green netted, it's like a green mesh bag filled with clean wood chips. And it was laying on all three sides of the stormwater grate,
Yeah,
the catchment.
we,
And all it did was catch, when we do brush, for example, and then it rains, all that debris goes in our storm drains and
Yeah.
into the river.
the
This catches all that. It's just like
issue with
genius
that,
simple, or
yeah.
I don't know.
there were two kids that came and they proposed it to us here. They were from RFH some years ago.
Yeah.
And the problem is twofold is you hit it on a bicycle would really be terrible. And the other is snow removal. And so you'd have to take them up, obviously,
I think they
before the
do-
winter.
They do.
Yeah, they do.
They're not
They were just
there
kinda-
now.
And we didn't really, we never really followed up on it, but as I've said in past meetings, you do the brush pickup and then come by with the vac truck
Or the sweeper.
or a sweeper, either way.
Mm-hmm.
Sweeper or vac truck, which was said some years ago and never again.
Because I sent you the video of right in front of my house. This
Oh,
week.
yes.
So it, yeah, I mean, that would.
That's this week.
Yeah, it opens the bag like
Or
like a fishing bag, yeah.
That was something, that was recent.
Right.
I didn't
Yep.
realize.
Yeah, we had
So-
it this week too.
Yeah, so I think that it's,
Ugh.
if we can get behind it as a preventative thing to finish up
To
with the
stage
cleanup.
the actual work, to manage the workflow,
Mhm,
to minimize debris.
yes,
in
that's been a
the
huge
river.
pet peeve of mine.
Maybe that could be a policy statement out of the environmental commission that then I could carry with me at council. I know Councilman McHugh and I are the department chairs for engineering at DPW. It would be helpful for me to have that information in writing
Yeah.
I feel like you could
We can do
probably expand your thoughts on it a little bit
Yeah.
better
Mhm.
for me to deliver that.
Christie, put that on our list. Please. No, I mean, it won't take long.
And then that could be endorsed
Yeah,
at council,
yeah,
which.
it should be a protocol,
to A directive.
should be a directive after they,
Sure.
you know, because to sit there and sweep, you know, I watched the guys today in front of the office, one guy's sweeping, the other guy's shoveling, it just have, you know, and we were supposed to have a piece of equipment that could facilitate that.
There is a fact, and I know that there's a sweeper coming. Yeah,
Good.
if you could detail your thoughts on that.
I will.
Very helpful.
Okay, thank you. Anti-idling. So real quick with that, it sounds great until it's really cold or really hot. And we have a tendency in town, and I'm guilty of it at times, to be overly ambitious to pick up our cute little cuddly kitties and be in the parking spot at 20, 30 minutes prior. It sounds good, and there already is a law in the state of New Jersey that you can't idle for more than 3 minutes. So I don't know if it's how much redundancy. The idea was, and I spoke to Joe about just putting up a couple of signs to remind people. Is that agreeable? Do we want to look into that and propose that to council?
I have an update. Oh, sorry.
Go ahead.
Ralph had me draft a letter, and we sent it to Superintendent McNeil and CC Teresa, regarding the anti-idling specifically in front of the school zones.
Yeah.
And Superintendent McNeil was going to work on it from his end.
That's what I thought. I think I was.
Has
on
a
it.
clip from the night news, and Betty Ann was going to also put that clip, that specific section, some in Borough channels.
Yeah,
And that's.
I think
that's
it's
where
out
that
of the
would be.
gate.
Okay, good. I think it's one of those things that it's a awareness, get the word out. But then the practical side is 90 degrees, you're sitting in your car. But that's not my problem. In another couple of months, my kid won't be in Knollwood.
So just a,
I know. Go ahead, Kelly, I'm sorry.
no problem. Just to fill you in too, that I know the Knollwood Green Team has kind of taken the charge on that. Obviously, yeah, CC Foster did a great interview on the nightly news. That was fantastic. And I think this would be a great partnership between the Knollwood Green Team and the EC. I think this would be a great initiative. And I do think it's just a matter of education as well. So I know a lot of the kids have already started designing posters. They've put them up around the halls in Knollwood. I know it's gone out in their information that they send out to parents as well. But this is an initiative that the Board of Ed can write into and actually get points through Sustainable New Jersey application.
Yeah, all right, great. And it's actually their property too. Sportsman's Field and all that. But yeah, and I saw CC's and thing on the nightly news. It was really cute. And I had yelled over the fence of that. Oh, what does he got to say? Yeah, I think it's good. I think it's good for us to, be reminded of it. All the newer cars, or most of them, which is something that I'm not having an easy time getting used to, having the car shut down when I'm sitting at a red light. But it's all that kind of stuff. Growing up with a mom from Germany, whenever, and I remember it as a little kid, whenever they would stop at a railroad crossing, everybody would turn off their cars. So the cars are now doing it for us, which it makes a lot of sense. Living Shoreline Park at Normandy. So there is a spot for one, yeah. So I had circulated some old plans and drawings and we wanted to take the pulse of the Environmental Commission to see if this was a project that we wanted to take on as a commission. Basically, it's not a bulkhead because we're against bulkheads for the most part. This would be what's called a living shoreline, and I'll have Jessie go into it more details because she's the professional working in that area as her profession. But basically, it's a bunch of natural, whether you use, ropes tied up and big bundles to put along the bank that will still retain the soil, and then there's vegetation planted and it would grow, and it would help to protect the shoreline from further erosion, and we'll proceed from there. And but I wanted to bring it to the commission's attention to see if we wanted to get behind it, and Jesse to add to that.
Yeah, well, I think too, I saw in the plans, there's the rain garden at the end of the street and then also living shoreline. And I think that a combination of both of these would be really great project. I know I've heard so many people even just kind of coming on, like talking about how the rain just kind of gushes down the street too, and it pretty much just goes right out into the water there.
Mhm.
So to have have something like a rain garden at the end of the street to help filter that. And then to also have the shoreline, which will be more planted and have more gradual slopes and whatnot. I think all of that together would really help with all the erosion problems over there. And it's just a matter of making sure that the design isn't like over engineered. And I know that's a lot of times projects in New Jersey want to doing that. You don't want to get too much of like riprap out in the water, showing up like, it's kind of trying to find that fine line between having something there that's protective, but also, actually able to protect as well and to hold everything in. So it's kind of a combination of planting and kind of some sort of structure in the water, whether it be some rock or I know they've done like oyster reefs and whatnot. Obviously, we can't be putting oyster reefs here at this
Not yet.
location. No, not yet. All right. No.
But there's no water really other than the real high tide.
Yeah. So really,
So,
I think the plans that were started just from looking at them could be tweaked a little bit. But I think it's a good project to kind of go forward with. Because again, there's been so many people that have come to talk about the water's kind of gushing down the street.
Yep.
All the streets. I mean, it all goes towards the river. So anything we can do to help prevent that, better.
Not only that, it would shore up the bank where we wouldn't
Yeah.
continue to lose, dirt to erosion, which we all know is going to be more of a common, more common, has been hit up Nag's Head. This would be a way to do it in a non, threatening way to the environment.
Yes. Is the commission in a position to make specific recommendations for the shoreline, so how to structure that and what sort of plant materials would be included? And I think if there are specific recommendations, that would be a very good thing to communicate. So it sends a clear note of endorsement as well. Also important that that's communicated. I know, to my knowledge, at this point, nobody's looking to the environmental commission to either plan, fundraise, install, take on. I don't think that is, if that is the case, then I'll find
No,
out
it's
for
in the
you.
contacts.
That's
Honestly,
among it.
yeah.
Yeah, I think it's the contacts that you can utilize for this project, the two of us.
Yeah, I think having those
and-
contacts and then actually being able to review it before it goes forth.
Mhm.
So we are all on board with, we like the design, this makes sense.
Yeah.
So why don't you and I get together and we'll look at the plans
That
and
would
what
be
are there,
great.
and then circle back with a letter with our recommendations to the council, similar to what we're doing with the other projects.
Perfect.
That kind of feeds into what Bonnie said last month, though. Is the Environmental Commission kind of asked or brought into any discussions like with the borough, and like, is that something that we want to push?
Yes.
Because I think that would
I
be a
think-
good thing.
I
be
think that,
consulted.
yeah, I think it's in our mission statement to be brought in.
ERI right
And the
there.
ERI, it's right
Because we
there.
have that, we should be definitely brought in. any of these
So,
projects.
yeah, and that's why my goat, which gets
Yeah.
played with a lot, or comes up a lot.
No,
Because we were not brought into a few of the projects
Yeah.
and, basically there's a pocket park at the end of every street,
Yes.
okay?
So
That
there's
are on
work
the,
done.
on the river. So, and they're, working on that and we were not brought into it.
None of them are
technically-
done. None of them are done.
but
All the
but-
engineering drawings are done,
But since those,
according to Teresa.
but since there's work to be
Okay.
done at the edges of the streets and we have our ERI, we
Right.
have the right to be viewing what's going on at the end of the streets.
I'll see to next steps about how to get
I-
the plans as they exist today to the environmental commission.
As long as they're able to be amended, that's fine. Yeah, that'd be great.
They are.
Okay.
Yeah. I
But
think that'd be
moving
huge.
forward, I wonder what
Well,
would be the step to make it so
It
that,
would be up to council to say, hey, this has to go.
If it's in our
to EC.
purview, I mean,
gotta go to EC.
I'll just say, Jesse has hit the nail on the head. By statute, because you have produced, you've authored, produced, submitted, it's been received, an environmental resource inventory. Because that is the case, you now have what you need to meet the threshold for, it essentially it triggers a jurisdiction, and you have the authority to review and provide comment on applications. Applications includes applications that come to our land use boards.
Docks, bulkheads.
It
and-
also
And all that.
includes, and perhaps even more importantly, anything that would be happening along the waterfront or impacting wetland areas.
Or any
And this
drainage
is within your scope.
Yeah.
So the better word would be jurisdiction.
And
And up until now, that hasn't been happening, but I'm very clear on the law. I'm very clear about the mechanisms that trigger it. And I think getting the Normandy plans to you is just the first step.
and even just updating your ERI to incorporate all of.
Well, Grange, yeah, I'd like to see Grange, Baton Road and Grange and Hants. And with the,
Okay,
But even,
with that we have the authority that it's not too late. I'd like to see that, right?
but
So
even some
listen,
projects like
I'm
building
sorry.
projects, like I'm just thinking of like the houses
Yes.
behind.
Well,
Colonial
that's why-
Port, like there was a major pipe that was put in, and I'm
Yeah.
seeing now and like learning all the stormwater stuff, I don't think it was done probably to the standards that.
No, but that's why we have a representative on the zoning and planning to do just that.
so with, and hopefully that gets improved upon, because clearly some things have happened that shouldn't have. To address what Michael's touching on specifically. And there are other instances, one of whom was at the council meeting on Monday night. But the one caveat I'll just share is the land use boards be able to avail themselves of your findings and after the application review. They are not bound at all, and that's an important note, but I'm sure that your findings will inform the land use boards and they will find them helpful from time to time, so. We will advance that.
Yeah, I mean, even like if there's any permits or things that kind of go through the state anyway for work that's being done on the water, we're supposed to be getting anyway, because
It's on
actually, it's written in the rules.
Yeah.
You send it to the environmental commission, planning and zoning board.
Yeah, any
so-
docks, bulkheads.
Ralph
Yeah.
does receive those, they go into his mailbox and he gets them.
They should,
The DEP letters?
Yeah, the DEP letters, all that is supposed to be reviewed by us as a commission.
Oh, I
Ralph
didn't even
received
know-
those.
I didn't know that. he-
All that.
I think they should get to the body.
Yeah, not just- I didn't know who's getting them.
I would say they're not frequent, but I definitely.
No, there's probably not many of them.
Some, since you've been doing it, that if it's handy, you have, it'd be a good idea to share it with them, even
Sure,
if
if
it
something
hasn't
already
already
comes across, I'll scan it.
Thank you.
And we'll look at it real quick and say, yeah, we have something to
That's-
say, or
yeah.
no.
That's
We don't
like
have-
a quick
I don't
step.
want, my intent is not to hold up an
No, no, no,
application by
no.
any stretch.
But if there's an
But we
important
should-
project,
Correct, we
Yeah.
should be aware of it.
Yeah.
And if we need to look at it further, then we'll make, 24 hours, I think it was that we had to
Because typically whenever there's any sort of public notice put out, there's a 30-day notice window to provide comments, 30 to 90 days, depending on the tech product. So,
I happen to know there was one at Fourth Creek that would probably be worth you guys seeing, and in fact, it's neighbors, it's right, it's your neighbor.
My neighbor, yeah.
So that was perhaps 3 months ago.
That was just, I believe that was just an update. He's not building anything.
It's it would be a way for the members of the commission
We should have seen.
to
it, yeah.
see.
Okay.
Mhm.
Mhm.
And Christy knows what to look for, so that'll start to prime the pump.
Thank you.
awesome, thank you.
Any updates from council other than?
Other than the things that we touched on already, no, we're good. And I'll
Cool.
continue to keep up to date. And
Oh, look who's here.
Do we have any members of the public?
Yes, and.
I know you, I didn't know if anybody else was. I can see you, I can't see Zoom.
There are two online.
Okay, so do we have, at this point, like to open it up for public comment? We welcome your comments, suggestions, and inquiries. So please identify yourself by your name and address for the record and limit your comments to 3 minutes, please.
Running Neal, 935 River Road. And I'm here actually representing the green team. And of course, you know how enthusiastic we are to have you all join in on what we think is really just an incredible collection that we've created to make the residents feel really good about the town they live in, and to also sneak in sustainable and conservation sustainability in every table that is manned there. These are some things, you know, based on all of these crazy places that I put myself. These are some things that have come up. I'm part of a National Garden Club Federation, and we had an annual meeting, and Tim Dillingham is up there speaking in front of, you know, people that came in from all over the country. And he mentions Fairhaven, to Normandy, living shoreline.
Mhm.
And I raised my hand and I said, wait. And he said, we have had the plan to you. We are waiting. What's going on?
Don't.
I live on the
Go
river
there.
and I said, you know what? The Normandy is this big, Tim. I could knock on my neighbor's doors. We have a horseshoe of a beach. I have a beach in front of my house. We can get your living shoreline in there. And he said he'd be very interested in that. Also, I just came from a Liberal Society was speaking in Rumson, and Bob Sickles was there from Sickles, and I was incredibly impressed with him. He is actively turning towards the trending of natives. He has supplied 3 huge tables in. It's not a significant part, but you know, he's on it. Represented there too was an organization that is called Strike, and they are massively after invasives, and it is a great program that we from the Rumson Garden Club are going to support. I'm now a member of the Fairhaven Garden Club, and I'm also going to have all these ideas put forth. The Liberal Society was talking, you know, screenplay after screenplay after screenplay tonight about all of the rain gardens that they have put in, and they don't make it sound like it's that hard because all their pictures are with school children, every single one of them, you know. And I said, how can I get that to happen in my town? I want that. I want to get those kids out of the corners and into the earth, into the ground. Also, when we were at the council meeting, there was this woman that comes, she, you know, speaks a lot. Her name is Ruth, and she talked about compost. You know, she's like, where are those piles that we used to be able to pick up all the time? Where are they? And why did they disappear? I love the communal compost, the proposition that Kelly was talking about that is diverting, that is coming off of the Unwaste program, for the town. And I would love for that to be offered to the restaurants. We talked about a water truck. I happened to see the Fairhaven Garden Club makes the container gardens. They take responsibility for container gardens. And I saw the DPW with a water truck.
Do they have?
Oh, yeah.
Or is it on a little gator?
No, it's on the back of the,
Yeah.
one of the dumps.
Yeah, so.
It's on the back of one of the dumps. They have to,
Yeah, I didn't
they
know
just
that.
planted the
I didn't know
baskets
that.
on the side of River Road and that's.
So I saw them, I'm like, I stopped and I said, oh my gosh, I'm so glad you're watering those containers. Next year, can we make them native plants? Also, I wanted to make people aware that somebody came to my door. And as you know, I live on the river, and they said, we have I am working for a company that will clean your dock. And I said, why do I need my dock cleaned? And it said, because it's full of pests. And how do you take care of that? We have this product, it's natural. I said, okay, I'll take your card and I'm gonna find out about this.
Let me see
And
that.
I'm gonna read, it's called Echo Shield.
Yeah.
Do you believe it?
No,
No.
Yeah.
and I'm gonna tell
just-
Cindy Ship, I'm
just
gonna
skip-
call her
Yeah.
and Clean Ocean Action, it's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Also, when at the compost workshop, we got, the thing, they had plenty of brochures that the master gardener was handing out from Middletown. I've seen them. I happened to go through it because I was trying to get Fairhaven Hardware to put together a composting package that residents could come. Bob Sickles is interested in having those products, and Megan Fairhaven Hardware is not. So, but anyway,
Let me
When
just,
I
Yeah,
was-
hold on.
let me interrupt a second.
We're way over the 3 minutes, but.
Okay.
But it's also good stuff.
Let me
Yeah,
add
but it
one.
was, okay, go
Can I
ahead.
add 1 second? The Fairhaven Harvey and his dad before him helped us in the past.
Yeah.
With rain barrels, with other things. They never sold. They ended up with a lot of things that they were returning to the manufacturer, giving up, or just losing money on. So, they've done their best for us, and
best course.
I'm afraid we can't press them too hard.
Oh, no, it's just an ask. It's just an ask. But Bob Sickles at Sickles was interested in hearing, in furthering the conversation. And, that thing they hand out at Middletown about, all their recycling, it says to get your rain barrel because that's good for stormwater. So I think that's all I have. And thank you.
Thank you.
And see you Saturday.
You will.
And do we have any more comments from the public
Can you tell me where we're up to?
and
Public comments.
public comments?
End of the meeting.
Definitely your public comments.
Oh, end of public comments.
Stephanie?
Stephanie,
You covered
gonna
all
move you
the agenda
over.
items?
Yes, Rob.
Go ahead.
Hi, it's Stephanie Adams, 230 Oxford. I had a couple of quick clarifications on the rain gardens at Knollwood. We were actually, I just wanted to clarify, because Brian, you may or may not know, there's actually 2 projects that were being talked about. There's a Monarch Waste Station that the Fairhaven Green Team was talking to Knollwood about building in a different spot when they put the greenhouse up. That's where the Monarch Waste Station is going to be. The Knollwood Rain Gardens is still very much the Environmental Commission's, that's your guys' project. We were there talking to them about the pollinator pop-up tent for Love Where You Live Day. And so obviously the kids are really into pollinators right now. So that's why we were talking about the rain gardens and the Monarch Waste Station. So I know Kelly, you guys talked about planning in the fall and you have the grant. So I'm happy to hear that that's all proceeding. I don't know what's going to happen with the Monarch Waste Station because that's on hold until they put up the greenhouse. Ditto on
Thank you.
anti-idling.
Clarifying that. I'll circle back with that then. Thank you.
Yeah, no, definitely circle back because they know that
I thought the
that's,
students were going to do
Please,
this.
hold on. What's that, Stephanie?
they know that that you guys are looking to work on the rain gardens.
To coordinate
So,
with the school
Right.
and the children, yeah.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah. So, but sadly, we are kind of out of, it's a little late in the season. So I think the fall would be a great time to kick that off.
Absolutely, I agree.
Also on the Nativity Rain Garden, I'm neighbors with folks that work at the church. I talked to Kathy Hendricks a couple times. My impression is that they're breaking ground and they're underway. So I don't know if you guys are actively talking to folks at Nativity, but I would definitely follow up with them to see where they are.
I don't see any groundbreaking there. That's new news to me, and I don't even know where they're gonna
Okay.
put it. Because
Yeah,
all the
so I
water, all the water for that parking lot, it all goes back into that corner, into that culvert.
So Brian, are we maybe talking about two different locations? I wonder if it's a different.
Well,
The only other location, there was two locations, if you look at, online, and it's on our website now, from Rutgers, who did the study of the town. It was, there is two proposed sites at Nativity, for the rain gardens. And so you can look it up and see, but I was just there this afternoon at, 5:30.
Okay.
I didn't see anything because I was monitoring the culvert there.
Okay.
Stephanie?
Are you guys talking to Kathy Hendricks?
I don't know her, no, I have
No,
no.
I talked
Okay.
to Father Jim.
Okay.
Okay, if I could just chime in, Steph, real quick. Kathy Hendricks, they started planting a pollinator garden, not a rain garden. It's a pollinator garden on the entrance there. It's
That's
not
different.
it's not
That's
the second rain garden spot on the side of the,
That's what I thought. Yeah. Okay. It's a
Yeah,
different location.
that's different, and then as Jesse had suggested, and we can propose it to whomever wants to take on the project, to plant some native species around that culvert and just leave it alone and let it do what it's doing.
Yeah. And just leave it at that. I think that's actually a really good idea. I think that's actually a really good idea.
Because there's no, the whole purpose for a rain garden is to catch the runoff. You're
Yeah.
not gonna catch any runoff unless you put it in that back corner, which we can't tear up that culvert. It's all
Okay.
concrete.
Now, you have to know, I've been in contact with the state. Gary was helpful here. The right of way is 16 feet in from the curb, if I remember correctly. I'm speaking from memory. And you really can't invade that area.
We can plant it though.
Pardon me?
We can put plants there. It's
Yeah,
just
but
suggestion.
you can't dig down.
We didn't say that. We said we weren't.
No, but more than that, they're possibly thinking of having a new lane added there for turns. So you're getting a warning that the intersection is going to be redesigned shortly.
But that doesn't affect, that doesn't affect where the culvert is.
Yeah.
That's on the other side of the parking lot, the back corner.
Okay.
The
Back
pictures.
one, yeah, that's,
All right,
I think it goes that far back.
And so my third thing, and I know, now we're conversing, so I get a little more than 3 minutes, but on the pond.
absolutely.
Stop the timer. On the pond, for Brian and Tracy, I love the idea that you guys are writing a letter from the Environmental Commission. Have you guys thought at all about trying to also engage the community and sort of get them talking about this, and maybe them also appealing to the town on the hydro raking? I just, for some strange reason, this event is on my mind on Saturday, and just thinking about, community outreach, and I'm not proposing that we do it this Saturday, but is that something that you guys have thought about, like reaching out to the community to get them sort of behind the hydro raking project and cleaning and, taking care of the pond?
Okay, so the hydro raking has to be approved by council to budget for it. I think it's just really, I can speak candidly here. I don't know that anybody on council would be opposed to it. So it's really not a sale that we have to make to the community at large.
Okay.
and having said that, I'm not sure, and it would be, if there are people, it would be a minority of people that would be opposed to it because of the way it looks and it's not usable, the kids can't fish, so on and so forth. I mean, there's a litany of reasons to do it.
Okay. Okay.
Maybe Tracy can speak more about it.
Well, you know, at the end of the day, the council makes decisions that they can, hopefully, if they're interested in implementing the will of the people. Maybe this is my idealistic sense of government, but it is always good to hear from more people
Yes.
when there's something important on the line. So to Stephanie's point, I'll certainly be willing to talk about it on Saturday if somebody wants to bring it up. The Environmental Commission can have pictures of the Carter Pond at your table. There's no reason at all not to invite thoughts and comments, discussion around something as important as the Carter Pond.
Absolutely.
And anyone can attend the meeting on the 23rd. And the thing to know is that the council will be confronted with a whole list of potential projects. And we don't have enough money to do everything.
Yeah.
And
That's the point.
we do not have enough
And
money to
that,
do
so
everything.
that from that standpoint alone, the public participation to show up just at that meeting to voice their support,
Yes.
not so much concerns, but support for such a project would be huge.
We need
And
it.
that would be an outreach from, I guess,
I think it starts here.
right, it starts
Honestly,
from
if
here.
the commission members are there, and
Right.
if you have a friend you want to bring, or you have a letter from a neighbor that you know it's something they care about, or if you have an email from some people you know live on the pond,
Well, we had, yeah. we-
it's
we'll talk
very important
offline
to
about it.
be able to make a statement in a public forum
Yeah.
that you know you have the support of your fellow neighbors, residents, however you want to say it. But you're not there alone making a single request. You're representing a lot of people. This position that the Environmental Commission has about Carter Pond.
But the
Yes.
Environmental Commission can't, you know, for example, I discussed, and I won't say it was who, you probably guess. I discussed the possibility of a letter from the Environmental Commission. That was not well thought of. Environmental Commission works for the council. They should be working together, not lobbying.
No,
I think that what we have to do is get a lot of people out. We ought to get the entire Environmental Commission out to that meeting, and they should bring up another person or two each,
which is lobbying.
which is lobbying and more something. It's not something that will end up as in the newspapers, though, as a letter and a divisive issue between the council and the Environmental Commission.
Well,
That's the
you
point.
suggested otherwise. But we'll-
We have been asked to submit a letter by the
Right.
council.
Yeah,
We've been asked.
I'm doing that. I'm
that-
doing it.
That was a piece of housekeeping that was taken care of earlier in the meeting. Christie's gonna put together a letter that has the minutes attached to just state the position on the Carter Pond.
Right.
Perhaps you should look at that when she puts together.
Sure.
All right. Do we have any other public comment?
Any others? No.
Any other comments from the commission? Meeting is adjourned.
Okay.
Thank you,
Can you
everybody.
read my writing?
Yes.
Speaking of, we can not really see it.
It makes sense.
Aw.